Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship moved slowly through space near the edge of human territory. It was a quiet morning shift, and most of the crew worked at their stations in comfortable silence. Jake had been commanding exploration ships for 12 years, and he loved the peaceful moments between discoveries. Lisa Hamilton sat at the communications station running her daily checks on the long-range sensors. She was young for her rank, but had sharp eyes that never missed important details. The sensor array was picking up normal background radiation and the usual debris from old asteroid mining operations. Everything looked normal until a new signal appeared on her screen. "Captain Morrison," Lisa called out in a worried voice. "I'm getting some strange readings from the Vega system, multiple large objects moving toward us at high speed." Jake walked over to her station and looked at the display. 12 massive energy signatures were approaching from deep space. The objects were huge and moving faster than any human ship could travel. They were still far away, but their course was clearly aimed at human space. "How long until they reach the outer colonies?" Jake asked. Lisa worked quickly on her calculations. "At their current speed, about 18 hours, sir." Jake felt his stomach tighten. Unknown ships heading straight for human territory was never good news. He activated his command console and opened a channel to Luna Station, where Admiral Karen Brooks commanded the Sector Defense Forces. "Admiral Brooks, this is Captain Morrison of the UES Valiant. We have 12 unknown vessels approaching from Vega. They appear to be much larger than our ships and are moving at speeds we cannot match." The Admiral's voice came through clearly despite the distance. "Understood, Captain. All ships in your sector are ordered to defensive positions. Do not engage unless fired upon. We're going to try peaceful contact first." Jake acknowledged the order and turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Clark. Ryan was a careful man who studied every detail of potential threats. He was already analyzing the sensor data when Jake approached. "What can you tell me about these ships, Ryan?" Jake asked. Ryan shook his head slowly. "Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. The shielding technology appears decades ahead of our own. The weapon systems are reading as some kind of directed energy arrays, but the power levels are enormous." Dr. Amanda Foster entered the bridge carrying a datapad. She was the ship's expert on alien life and had been working with the ship's computer, trying to understand what they were facing. Amanda was excited about the possibility of first contact, but Jake could see worry in her eyes. "Captain, I've been analyzing the energy patterns from those ships. The technology is definitely not human, and it's far more advanced than anything we've developed. If these are military vessels, we're badly outmatched." Jake nodded grimly. Humanity had been exploring space for over a century, but had never encountered another intelligent species. Their ships were built for exploration and research with only basic defensive weapons. The idea that their first contact might be hostile had always worried military planners. The hours passed slowly as the alien fleet drew closer. Jake ordered all civilian ships in the area to return to the inner colonies immediately. The UES Valiant and 3 other exploration ships took positions near the edge of the system, waiting for whatever was coming. Lisa worked constantly trying to establish communication with the approaching vessels. She broadcast standard greeting, messages in multiple languages and mathematical sequences that any intelligent species should recognize. For hours there was no response, and Jake began to hope the aliens might be peaceful explorers like themselves. Then the aliens finally answered. The message came through on multiple frequencies at once, nearly overwhelming the communication systems. Lisa quickly adjusted the filters and put the transmission on the main speakers. The voice that emerged was harsh and mechanical, clearly using some kind of translation device. "Primitive species of this system, you will surrender your territory immediately. Your colonies will be evacuated and your military vessels will stand down. You have 1 solar rotation to comply or face elimination." The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed what they had just heard. Jake felt his blood run cold. This was not the peaceful first contact humanity had hoped for. Lisa tried to respond. "Unknown vessels, this is the United Earthship Valiant. We wish to establish peaceful relations between our species. Perhaps we can arrange a meeting to discuss any misunderstandings." The alien response came immediately. There is no misunderstanding. We are the Karathi Empire. Your species will serve us or be destroyed. You have been warned. Amanda worked frantically with the linguistics computer trying to learn more about the aliens from their brief transmissions. Captain, their language suggests a highly militaristic culture. The terms they're using indicate they view us as inferior beings, suitable only for slavery or elimination. Ryan was studying the tactical displays. The alien fleet has stopped at the edge of our sensor range. They're holding position, but their weapons are powered and ready. I count at least 40 major weapon systems on each ship. Jake opened another channel to Admiral Brooks. Admiral, we've received communication from the aliens. They call themselves the Karathi Empire, and they're demanding we surrender all human territory beyond Earth orbit. They've given us 24 hours. Understood, Captain. All fleet commanders are being briefed on the situation. Continue monitoring the alien fleet, but do not provoke them. We're hoping diplomacy can still work. Jake knew the Admiral was being optimistic. The aliens had made their position clear, and they did not seem interested in negotiation. Humanity was facing its first interstellar war, and they were badly outnumbered and outgunned. Dr. Foster continued analyzing the alien transmissions. Captain, I'm detecting multiple ship classes in their fleet. The largest vessels appear to be battleships, while the smaller ones might be destroyers or cruisers. Their formation suggests they're experienced military forces. As the hours passed, Jake watched the alien fleet holding position just outside human space. The Karathi were waiting for humanity's answer, but Jake suspected they had already decided what would happen regardless of the response. The aliens had superior numbers and technology. They could destroy every human ship and colony whenever they chose. What Jake did not know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over 50 years. Hidden bases throughout the solar system contained weapons and ships that the aliens could not imagine. The primitive human technology the Karathi could detect was just a carefully maintained illusion. The real human military was about to reveal itself, and the aliens would learn that appearances could be very deceiving. On Earth, President Maria Santos received the emergency alert while reviewing trade agreements in her office. The message from Admiral Brooks was brief, but terrifying. Hostile aliens had entered human space and were demanding complete surrender within 24 hours. Maria immediately canceled all her appointments and called for an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The council members arrived at the secure bunker beneath Geneva within 2 hours. These were the most powerful leaders on Earth, including military commanders, intelligence chiefs, and the heads of major corporations. What most of them did not know was that this meeting had been planned and rehearsed many times over the past 5 decades. Director Paul Bennett of the Department of Advanced Defense Projects stood at the head of the briefing room. Paul was a thin man in his 60s who had spent his entire career working on humanity's most classified military programs. Most people in the room had never heard his name, but he controlled weapons and technology that could reshape the galaxy. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul began, the situation we have prepared for since 1973 is now upon us. Hostile aliens have entered our space and are demanding our surrender. It is time to activate Operation Silent Thunder. Several council members looked confused. General Robert Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, raised his hand. Director Bennett, what is Operation Silent Thunder? I've never heard of this program. Paul smiled coldly. General, that is because you and most others in this room only know about our public military forces. The ships and weapons the aliens can detect represent less than 10% of humanity's true military capability. Maria felt her heart racing. She had been briefed on some classified programs when she became president, but nothing like what Paul was describing. Director, please explain what you mean. Paul activated a holographic display that showed the solar system. Dozens of red dots appeared scattered throughout the asteroid belt and outer planets. In 1973, we recovered an alien probe that crashed in the Sahara Desert. The technology inside that probe was centuries ahead of anything we possessed. Over the past 50 years, we have reverse-engineered their quantum manipulation drives, energy weapons, and defensive systems. The room erupted in shocked voices as council members demanded to know why they had been kept in the dark about such important discoveries. Paul raised his hand for silence. The secrecy was necessary for the plan to work. We needed the galaxy to believe humanity was primitive and weak. Every exploration ship, every colony, every piece of military hardware, the aliens can detect uses deliberately obsolete technology. Meanwhile, we have been building a fleet that operates using principles the aliens cannot understand. Colonel Emma Rodriguez, commander of the 7th Fleet's Black Division, stood up from her seat. Emma was a decorated combat veteran who had been handpicked for her current assignment 15 years ago. Most military records listed her as commanding a small patrol force near Jupiter. The Black Division consists of 47 ships built with quantum phase technology, Emma explained. We can exist partially outside normal spacetime, which makes us invisible to conventional sensors. Our weapons bypass traditional shields by attacking matter at the subatomic level. Each of our ships can destroy vessels 10 times their size. General Hayes looked stunned. How have you kept this secret? Building ships like that would require enormous resources and thousands of personnel. Paul brought up personnel files on the display. Every person working on these projects has been carefully selected and monitored. Most believe they are working on experimental mining equipment or theoretical research. Only the senior commanders know the true nature of their assignments. The ships themselves are disguised as asteroid mining stations and research outposts. Dr. Scott Williams appeared on the communication screen from his laboratory on Titan. Scott was a brilliant physicist who had spent the last 20 years developing humanity's most devastating weapon. His official job was studying atmospheric conditions on Saturn's moons. President Santos, Scott said, the erasure array is ready for deployment. We have quantum field generators positioned throughout the solar system that can create localized space-time distortions. The array can delete matter from existence by severing its quantum connections to reality. Maria struggled to understand what she was hearing. Dr. Williams, are you saying you can make enemy ships simply disappear? Not disappear, Madam President. Cease to exist. The matter that composed them returns to quantum foam. There is no debris, no energy release, no trace that they ever existed except in our memories. Paul continued the briefing by explaining how the hidden bases communicated using quantum entanglement networks that operated faster than light speed. The aliens could monitor human radio and laser communications, but they could not detect or intercept quantum transmissions. Every mining station, research outpost, and civilian facility in the outer system has been secretly equipped with military-grade shields and weapons. What appears to be a small scientific base studying ice composition is actually a fortress that can withstand direct assault from alien battleships. Colonel Rodriguez added more details about the false intelligence humanity had been spreading for decades. We have carefully leaked information about our military capabilities to ensure any alien observers would underestimate us. The ships patrolling our borders carry only basic weapons and old-style engines. Meanwhile, our real fleet has been practicing combat maneuvers in hidden dimensions. Maria asked the question that was troubling her most. Why keep this secret from elected leaders? Don't we have a right to know what weapons our government possesses? Paul's expression became serious. Madam President, the psychological profiles of every species we have studied suggest that truly advanced civilizations monitor primitive worlds for signs of hidden technology. If we had acted like we possessed advanced weapons, the aliens would have attacked us decades ago before we were ready. Our apparent weakness was our greatest strength. Dr. Williams reported that all quantum field generators were online and ready to engage targets. The erasure array could eliminate the entire alien fleet in less than 20 minutes once activation codes were transmitted. However, the weapon was so powerful that using it would announce humanity's true capabilities to every intelligent species within 1,000 light years. Once we reveal our technology, there will be no going back, Paul warned. The galaxy will know that humanity is not the primitive species we appeared to be. Some civilizations will want to ally with us. Others will see us as a threat that must be eliminated. Emma Rodriguez received confirmation that all Black Division ships were in position around the alien fleet. The Karathi were still holding position at the edge of human space, apparently waiting for humanity's surrender. They had no idea that invisible human warships were already surrounding them. The aliens made a critical error, Paul concluded. They revealed themselves before studying us properly. They saw our primitive public technology and assumed we were helpless. In a few hours they will learn that humanity has been waiting for them. Maria realized that everything she thought she knew about human space exploration had been a carefully constructed lie. The brave explorers and peaceful scientists she had celebrated in public speeches were actually the outer shell of the most sophisticated military deception in galactic history. The aliens who demanded humanity's surrender were about to face weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. The Karathi fleet commander Zethkar stood in the control center of his flagship, studying displays that showed human space. His species had conquered 17 star systems over the past 3 centuries, and the pattern was always the same. The primitive species would resist at first, then surrender when they realized how outmatched they were. Humans appeared to be following the same predictable path. 12 hours had passed since the ultimatum, and the humans had not responded. Their small patrol ships remained at defensive positions but showed no signs of preparing for battle. Zethkar had fought many campaigns, and he could recognize when an enemy knew they were defeated. The humans were clearly hoping for mercy. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "the human ships are maintaining position, but their weapons remain powered down. They appear to be waiting for orders." Zethkar studied the tactical displays. The human vessels were tiny compared to Karathi battleships, and their energy signatures indicated primitive fusion weapons and basic deflector shields. The entire human fleet could be destroyed in minutes once he gave the order. "Have they responded to our demands?" he asked. "No direct communication, Commander. However, we are detecting increased transmission activity between their ships and inter-system facilities. They appear to be coordinating some kind of response." Zethkar made his decision. These humans needed to understand the futility of resistance. A demonstration of Karathi power would convince them to surrender quickly and save lives on both sides. He selected a target from the tactical display. "Destroy the research station in Sector 7, he ordered. "Make sure the humans can observe the attack. They need to see what happens to those who defy the Empire." The Karathi battleship's main weapons charged with deadly energy. Harmony Base was a small scientific station studying stellar phenomena, with a crew of 300 researchers and their families. The facility had no military value, but it was visible to human sensors and would make an effective demonstration. Captain Jake Morrison watched in horror from the bridge of the UES Valiant as energy beams lanced out from the alien flagship. Harmony Base exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the darkness of space. 300 innocent people died in seconds, just to prove the aliens were serious about their threats. "Dear God," Dr. Amanda Foster whispered. "They just murdered everyone on that station." Lisa Hamilton was receiving emergency transmissions from across human space. "Captain, I'm getting distress calls from multiple colonies. The aliens are attacking civilian targets throughout the outer system." Jake felt rage building inside him as reports came in of more attacks. The aliens were not waiting for humanity's surrender. They were beginning a systematic extermination campaign designed to drive humans back to Earth through terror and overwhelming force. Admiral Karen Brooks contacted all human ships from Luna Station. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. "All units, this is Admiral Brooks. The aliens have begun attacking civilian targets. 17 facilities have been destroyed in the past hour with over 2,000 casualties." Jake watched the tactical display as more red markers appeared indicating destroyed human installations. Mining platforms, research stations, and small colonies were being eliminated one by one. The aliens were moving methodically toward the inner colonies, clearly intending to slaughter anyone who did not evacuate immediately. Ryan Clark was analyzing the attack patterns. "Captain, the aliens are being very systematic. They're destroying anything that might serve as a base for resistance. They want to make sure humans have nowhere to hide." Dr. Foster was monitoring alien communications, trying to understand their strategy. "The Karathi are broadcasting their attacks on open frequencies. They want other human facilities to see what's happening and panic." More reports arrived of civilian ships trying to flee the outer system. The aliens were allowing some evacuation, vessels to escape but destroying others apparently at random. The psychological effect was devastating as human colonists realized they might die, regardless of whether they surrendered or resisted. Jake received a priority message from Admiral Brooks. Captain Morrison, you are ordered to maintain position and observe alien tactics. Do not engage no matter what you see. This is a direct order. The order frustrated Jake beyond words. His ship carried weapons that could fight back against the alien destroyers, but he was forced to watch helplessly as civilians died. Every instinct told him to charge forward and defend the innocent people being slaughtered. Sir, Lisa reported, I'm receiving a transmission from the colony ship New Hope. They have 800 civilians aboard, including children. The aliens are pursuing them and their engines are damaged. Jake gripped his command chair as he watched the tactical display. The colony ship was moving slowly toward the inner system, while alien vessels closed the distance. The New Hope would be destroyed in minutes, and there was nothing he could do about it. Dr. Foster noticed something strange about the alien attack patterns. Captain, the aliens are being very careful to avoid certain areas of space. There are sectors they seem to be deliberately avoiding. Ryan checked the star charts. Those are areas with heavy asteroid fields and old mining operations. Maybe their sensors can't penetrate the interference. What Jake and his crew did not know was that those seemingly empty sectors contained the most advanced military technology humanity had ever built. Hidden bases disguised as abandoned mining stations were tracking every alien ship and preparing for a counterattack that would change galactic history. Colonel Emma Rodriguez received activation orders for the Black Division, while her ships remained invisible to alien sensors. Her crews had trained for this moment for years, and they were ready to show the Karathi the price of attacking human civilians. Dr. Scott Williams made final preparations for the erasure array from his laboratory on Titan. The quantum field generators were charging to full power, and targeting systems had locked onto every alien vessel. Soon the Karathi would learn that their demonstration of strength had sealed their fate. On Earth, President Maria Santos watched the casualty reports with growing fury. The aliens had fired the first shot and murdered thousands of innocent people. There would be no mercy for creatures capable of such cold-blooded slaughter. Director Paul Bennett confirmed that all hidden military assets were ready for deployment. The time for deception was over. Humanity would reveal its true power, and the galaxy would remember this day as the moment when everything changed. The Karathi fleet continued its advance toward the inner colonies, confident that human resistance would collapse within hours. The aliens had no idea that their every movement was being tracked by sensors they could not detect. They had walked into the most sophisticated trap in military history, and soon they would pay the ultimate price for underestimating humanity. Admiral Karen Brooks stood in the command center at Luna Station, watching real-time displays of the alien fleet's positions. The Karathi had destroyed 23 civilian installations and showed no signs of slowing their advance. Over 3,000 innocent people were dead, and the aliens were clearly preparing to attack the inner colonies next. Karen opened a secure channel to Director Paul Bennett on Earth. Paul, the aliens have crossed every line. They're slaughtering civilians and treating this as a war of extermination. I'm requesting authorization for Protocol Omega. Paul's voice came through the quantum communication link. Authorization confirmed, Admiral. All assets are weapons-free. Show them what humanity really is. Karen turned to her communications officer. Send activation signal Omega 77 Alpha to all units. The masquerade is over. Across the solar system, the signal reached hidden bases that had been disguised as civilian facilities for decades. On Ceres Station, a mining platform suddenly began unfolding massive weapon arrays that had been concealed inside fake asteroid processing equipment. The facility's true purpose as a fortress became clear as defensive shields powered up and targeting systems came online. Near Jupiter, what appeared to be a small research outpost studying radiation suddenly expanded into a military base 3 times its original size. Hidden sections emerged from concealment, revealing launch bays for fighter craft and missile batteries capable of destroying capital ships. Throughout the asteroid belt, dozens of mining stations shed their civilian disguises. Fake ore processing facilities revealed themselves as weapon platforms, while supposed supply depots became fully armed military bases. The entire outer system had been one giant deception designed to hide humanity's true military strength. Colonel Emma Rodriguez received the activation signal aboard her flagship UES Shadow Strike. The Black Division had been holding position in quantum phase space invisible to all conventional sensors. Now it was time to reveal themselves to the alien invaders. All ships, this is Colonel Rodriguez. Phase transition in 3-2-1 mark. 47 human warships materialized around the Karathi fleet as if emerging from empty space itself. The alien sensors went wild as massive energy signatures appeared on all sides of their formation. The Karathi had been completely surrounded, without realizing it. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the UES Valiant as his ship began its own transformation. Hidden panels slid away to reveal weapon systems that had been concealed for years. The Valiant's true firepower was 50 times greater than its apparent capabilities suggested. "Ryan," Jake called to his tactical officer, "bring all weapons online." Lisa opened a channel to the alien flagship. The UES Valiant's real armor plating emerged from concealment, turning it from an exploration vessel into a heavily armed battleship. Advanced shields powered up using technology the aliens had never encountered. The ship's quantum manipulation drives came online, allowing it to move in ways that defied conventional physics. Dr. Amanda Foster watched the transformation with amazement. "I had no idea our ship was actually a military vessel. How long has this deception been in place?" Jake smiled grimly. "Since the day she was launched, Amanda. Every exploration ship in the fleet carries hidden weapons and advanced technology. We've been preparing for this day since before you were born." The Karathi fleet commander Zethkar stared at his displays in shock as human ships appeared from nowhere around his formation. The energy readings from these vessels were impossible. Their technology signatures showed capabilities that were centuries ahead of what his intelligence reports had indicated. "How are they doing this?" his tactical officer demanded. "Our sensors detected only primitive vessels with basic weapons." Zethkar realized with growing horror that everything his empire knew about humanity was wrong. The primitive technology they had observed was a deliberate deception. The real human military used principles of physics that Karathi science could barely understand. Dr. Scott Williams activated the erasure array from his laboratory on Titan. Quantum field generators throughout the solar system came online, creating an invisible web of energy that surrounded the alien fleet. The generators were hidden inside asteroids concealed on planets and disguised as communication satellites. "Erasure array is fully operational," Scott reported. "I have targeting locks on all enemy vessels. Quantum field containment is at maximum strength." The aliens found themselves trapped inside an energy field they could not detect or understand. Their ships were still functional, but any attempt to flee would trigger the quantum field generators. The Karathi fleet was completely at humanity's mercy. Captain Morrison opened a channel to the alien flagship. "Karathi vessels, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Forces. You fired the first shot when you murdered innocent civilians. Now you will learn what humanity truly is." Zethkar tried to respond, but his communication systems were being jammed by technology he could not comprehend. The human ships around his fleet were using weapons and defenses that operated on quantum principles his scientists had only theorized about. Colonel Rodriguez positioned her ships in perfect attack formation around the alien fleet. The Black Division had trained for this moment for years, and every crew member knew their role. The aliens were about to face weapons that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. "All units target assigned vessels," Emma commanded. "Prepare quantum disruptor weapons for full power discharge. We are going to erase these murderers from existence." Throughout human space, the hidden bases revealed their true nature. The Mars orbital platform shed its disguise as a civilian space dock and became a massive military command center. The asteroid belt installations formed an interconnected defense network that could destroy entire fleets. Admiral Brooks watched the tactical display as humanity's true strength became visible for the first time in 50 years. The aliens who had demanded surrender now faced military technology that made their own weapons look like primitive tools. "Paul," she said to Director Bennett, "the aliens can see our real capabilities now. Every spacefaring species within 1,000 light years will detect these energy signatures. The secret is out." Paul's voice was calm. "Then let them all see what happens when someone attacks human civilians. The galaxy needs to learn that humanity is not weak, and we are not defenseless. The Karathi tried desperately to fight back, but their weapons could not penetrate human quantum shields. Their energy beams passed harmlessly through defensive fields that existed partially outside normal spacetime. The aliens realized they were facing an enemy whose technology was completely beyond their understanding. Dr. Foster monitored alien communications and reported to Captain Morrison. "Sir, the alien commander is broadcasting surrender requests and asking for mercy. They're trying to negotiate." Jake felt no sympathy for creatures who had murdered children and civilians. "Tell them it's too late for surrender. They wanted to see human military capabilities, and now they're going to experience them firsthand." The moment had arrived for humanity to demonstrate that appearances could be very deceiving, and that the galaxy's newest military power would not tolerate attacks on innocent people. The Karathi fleet tried desperately to escape the trap they had walked into, but found themselves completely surrounded by human ships that operated using impossible technology. Commander Zethkar watched his tactical displays with growing panic as his weapons failed to penetrate the enemy shields. The human vessels seemed to exist partially outside normal space, making them nearly impossible to target. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated the human response from the bridge of the UES Valiant. The ship that had appeared to be a simple exploration vessel now revealed weapon systems that dwarfed anything the aliens possessed. His crew worked with deadly precision, preparing to demonstrate the price of attacking innocent civilians. "Ryan, target their lead battleship with quantum disruptors," Jake ordered. "Lisa, broadcast our response on all frequencies so every alien ship can hear it." The channel opened, and Jake's voice carried across space to the Karathi fleet. "You demanded our surrender and murdered our people to prove your strength. You chose to make this a war of extinction. Now you face the consequences of that choice." Lieutenant Commander Ryan Clark locked the ship's weapons onto the alien flagship. The quantum disruptor cannons charged to full power, drawing energy from the ship's quantum manipulation core. These weapons did not simply destroy enemy vessels. They attacked the fundamental bonds that held matter together. "Weapons ready, Captain," Ryan reported. "Firing quantum disruptors now." Beams of impossible energy lanced out from the UES Valiant, striking the Karathi flagship directly. The alien shields flared and collapsed as weapons that attacked matter at the subatomic level tore through their defenses. The massive battleship began to break apart as its molecular structure failed. Zethkar felt his ship shaking around him as systems throughout the vessel began failing. The human weapons were unlike anything in Karathi military databases. They seemed to be unmaking his ship at the most basic level, causing it to simply fall apart. "Damage report," he shouted over the alarms. "Hull breaches on all decks," his tactical officer replied. "The weapons are destroying our atomic bonds. The ship is literally coming apart." Colonel Emma Rodriguez watched from her flagship as the Black Division engaged the remaining alien vessels. Her crews had trained for years to use weapons that most species could not even imagine. The quantum phase torpedoes they fired existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making them impossible to intercept or deflect. "All units fire at will," Emma commanded. "Target their engines and weapon systems. Let them see how outmatched they really are." The human fleet opened fire with weapons that rewrote the rules of space combat. Quantum disruptor beams tore through alien armor like it was made of paper. Phase torpedoes struck targets that were theoretically protected by shields and armor. The Karathi fleet found themselves facing technology that made their own weapons obsolete. Dr. Scott Williams monitored the battle from his laboratory on Titan while making final preparations for the erasure array. The quantum field generators surrounding the alien fleet were charged to maximum power and ready to delete entire ships from existence. This would be the ultimate demonstration of human technological superiority. "Admiral Brooks," Scott reported, "the erasure array is ready for final activation. I can eliminate the entire alien fleet in 17 minutes. There will be no debris, no survivors, and no evidence they ever existed except in our records." Admiral Karen Brooks watched the tactical display as human ships systematically dismantled the Karathi fleet. The aliens were trying to fight back, but their weapons could not damage enemies that existed partially outside normal spacetime. It was not a battle, but a demonstration of absolute technological superiority. "Dr. Williams, you are authorized to proceed," Karen said. "These creatures murdered thousands of our people. They deserve no mercy." The quantum field generators throughout the solar system began their final sequence. Energy fields invisible to conventional sensors created localized distortions in space-time around each alien vessel. The Karathi ships were about to be severed from reality itself. Captain Morrison received reports from across the human fleet as the systematic destruction of alien vessels continued. The Karathi had superior numbers, but their technology was centuries behind human capabilities. Ship after ship fell to weapons that attacked the basic structure of matter. Dr. Amanda Foster monitored alien communications and reported increasing desperation in their transmissions. "Captain, the aliens are broadcasting surrender offers and promising to leave human space immediately. Some of their ships are trying to jettison escape pods." Jake felt no sympathy for the creatures who had started this war by slaughtering civilians. Negative, Amanda. They wanted to see what human military technology could do. Now they get to experience it personally. The first alien ship disappeared as the erasure array began its work. The massive Karathi destroyer simply ceased to exist without any explosion or energy release. One moment it was there, and the next moment there was only empty space where a ship carrying 3,000 aliens had been. Zethkar watched in horror as vessels throughout his fleet began vanishing. His scientists could not explain what was happening. The ships were not being destroyed in any conventional sense. They were being removed from existence as if they had never been built. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his science officer. "I don't know, Commander. The energy readings suggest they're manipulating space-time itself. They're erasing our ships from reality." More Karathi vessels disappeared as the erasure array continued its deadly work. The quantum field generators created localized distortions that severed the connection between matter and the quantum foundation of existence. The alien ships were being deleted from the universe itself. Colonel Rodriguez watched with grim satisfaction as the alien fleet was systematically erased. All Black Division units maintain formation and continue targeting any vessels that attempt to escape. None of these murderers leave this system alive. Dr. Williams reported the progress of the erasure array to Admiral Brooks. 7 alien ships. Eliminated so far, Admiral. The remaining vessels are trying to overload their engines to escape, but the quantum containment field prevents any faster-than-light travel. The Karathi fleet was trapped inside an invisible cage while human weapons deleted them from existence one by one. Some alien ships tried to ram human vessels in desperate suicide attacks but found their targets could phase out of normal space-time to avoid collision. Jake opened a final communication to the surviving alien ships. "This is what happens when you attack innocent humans. Your empire wanted to see our military capabilities. Remember this lesson when you meet whatever gods your species worships." The last Karathi vessel disappeared in absolute silence, leaving only empty space where a mighty fleet had existed minutes before. 50,000 alien warriors had been erased from reality, along with their ships and weapons. The battle was over, and humanity had achieved total victory without losing a single ship. Admiral Brooks addressed the human fleet. "All units, this is Admiral Brooks. The alien threat has been eliminated. Begin recovery operations for any escape pods and prepare to broadcast our response to the galaxy." President Maria Santos spoke to the assembled leaders on Earth. "The masquerade is over. Every intelligent species within 1,000 light-years detected those energy signatures. The galaxy now knows that humanity possesses technology that can erase entire fleets from existence." Director Paul Bennett smiled coldly. "Let them all know. Any species that threatens human civilians will face the same fate as the Karathi Empire. The age of human expansion begins now." Dr. Foster looked at the empty space where the alien fleet had been and shuddered. "Captain, what have we become?" Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and gave the only answer that mattered. "We became what we needed to be to protect our people, Amanda. The galaxy will remember this day and think twice before threatening humanity again. The war was over before it had truly begun, and the cosmos had learned that the seemingly primitive humans were actually the most dangerous species in known space."